I decided to surprise my wife at her office Christmas party. Her boss introduced me to everyone as Lauren's little brother from Ohio. I smiled and played along to see how deep this goes. The company lobby smelled like pine garland and expensive champagne. Geometric snowflakes hung from invisible wires, casting fractured shadows across marble floors polished to mirror shine. I'd driven 4 hours through lake-effect snow to surprise Lauren at Apex Financial's annual Christmas party, her favorite event of the year. She'd been talking about it for weeks: the catered dinner, the awards ceremony, the networking opportunities. I wanted to see her face light up when I walked through those doors. Instead, I watched her boss introduce me as someone I'd never been. "Everyone, this is Lauren's little brother from Ohio," Richard Vance boomed, his hand clamping onto my shoulder with practiced executive warmth. He was maybe 55, silver hair, Rolex that caught the crystal chandelier light. "She's told us so much about you. Engineering school, right? How's Cleveland treating you?" The room of 30 or so people turned to look at me. Co-workers Lauren had mentioned by name, vice presidents she'd worked late nights to impress, the CFO who'd supposedly promised her a promotion. They all smiled with polite interest, waiting for the little brother from Ohio to say something charming. Lauren stood 15 feet away, wine glass frozen halfway to her lips. Her face had gone the color of printer paper. Our eyes met for exactly 2 seconds before she looked away, laughing at something the woman next to her had said. Too loud, too bright, panic dressed up as joy. "Actually," I said, keeping my voice steady, letting my Midwest accent thicken just slightly. "Cleveland's great, cold as hell this time of year, but you know how it is. Thanks for having me, Mr. Vance. Lauren said you wouldn't mind if I crashed the party." "Mind? Not at all. Family's family. Get yourself a drink, meet some people. Your sister's a rock star here. You should be proud." He clapped my shoulder again before moving toward the bar, already scanning the room for his next conversation. I'd been married to Lauren for 6 years, together for 8. We bought our house in Cincinnati 3 years ago, a renovated Victorian in North Side with original hardwood and a backyard garden Lauren never had time to maintain. I knew the exact placement of the scar on her left knee from a childhood bike accident. I knew she hated cilantro, loved true crime podcasts, and always ordered her coffee with oat milk, never almond. I knew that when she was stressed, she reorganized the kitchen cabinets at 2 in the morning, and apparently, to everyone she worked with, I didn't exist. Some guy in a Navy suit approached me, extending his hand. "Brian Wolcott, senior analyst. You study engineering at Case Western?" "Ohio State, actually," I improvised, shaking his hand. My palm was sweating. "Mechanical engineering, 3rd year? Nice, nice. Your sister talks about you sometimes. Said you're thinking about the automotive industry after graduation." Lauren had never mentioned having a brother. She was an only child. Her parents died in a car accident when she was 19. No siblings, no extended family she kept in touch with. It was one of the things that had drawn us together initially. We'd both understood what it meant to build a family from scratch, to choose your people rather than inherit them. I'd met her at a charity fundraiser in 2017. She was 26, working as a junior financial analyst, hungry and brilliant and funnier than anyone I'd ever met. I was 28, managing a small tech startup that eventually failed, but back then I'd still believed in my own potential. We got married at the courthouse with 2 friends as witnesses, spent our honeymoon weekend at a bed and breakfast in Hocking Hills. No big production, just us. "Yeah," I told Brian, watching Lauren over his shoulder. She'd moved toward the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Cincinnati, the city lights reflected in the glass, turning her into a ghost. "Automotive's interesting. Lots of innovation happening. Well, if you ever want to talk shop, I've got some contacts at Ford. Your sister's email has my info." He excused himself to refresh his drink, leaving me standing alone with a champagne flute I'd grabbed from a passing server. The bubbles tasted expensive. Everything here tasted expensive. The hors d'oeuvres, the ambient jazz trio set up near the windows, the casual wealth radiating from every conversation. This was Lauren's world now, a world where I apparently didn't belong, not as her husband, not even as myself. I moved through the party slowly, introducing myself as the little brother from Ohio, collecting information like evidence. Janet from accounting told me Lauren had been with Apex for 2 years, ever since she relocated from Columbus. Relocated. We lived in Cincinnati. Lauren commuted to Columbus 3 days a week for work, or that's what she'd told me. 50-minute drive, she'd said. Sometimes she stayed over in a hotel near the office when she had early meetings, the Columbus Marriott, she'd specified once. I'd never questioned it. Derek from IT mentioned the time Lauren's brother had surprised her at work last summer, bringing her lunch. Really nice gesture. That would have been August. I'd been in Chicago that week for a friend's bachelor party. Lauren had texted me photos of her working lunch at her desk. Apparently someone else had been there too. By the time I reached the shrimp cocktail station, I'd constructed a timeline. 2 years of employment here, regular mentions of a brother in engineering school, references to her family in Ohio where we'd never lived together. She'd built an entire alternate biography, detailed enough to withstand casual scrutiny, vague enough to avoid specific questions. "You must be so proud of Lauren," a woman in her 40s said, appearing beside me with a plate of stuffed mushrooms. She had kind eyes, genuine warmth. I'm Diane Roth, VP of Operations. Your sister joined my team 6 months ago. Best decision I ever made. She's always been driven, I said carefully. Even as kids, she knew what she wanted. She mentioned you two were close growing up. After your parents passed, you really looked out for each other, right? My heart stopped. Yeah, I managed. We did. That kind of bond is special. I lost my sister young. I know how much it matters to have that connection. She squeezed my arm gently. Lauren's lucky to have you. I excused myself before my face could betray the screaming inside my head. Found the bathroom, locked myself in a stall that smelled like luxury hand soap and lies. My hand shook as I pulled out my phone, opened Lauren's contact, my wife's name, the woman who'd promised me forever in a courthouse 6 years ago, backed by photo evidence of our wedding day. I scrolled through our text history. This morning, she'd sent me a photo of her outfit for the party. Black dress, elegant, asking if it looked professional enough. I told her she looked beautiful. She'd sent back a heart emoji. 3 hours ago, she'd texted that the party was starting soon. She'd call me later tonight. Love you. I'd responded with love you too. Have fun. And now I was locked in a bathroom stall at her company's Christmas party, introduced as her fictional brother from a city we'd never lived in together. I took photos, screenshots of our text conversations, our wedding photo, the deed to our house with both our names. Then I cleared my face, washed my hands, and went back to the party. Lauren was near the dessert table, laughing with Richard Vance and 2 other executives. She saw me approaching, and her laugh died mid-sound. Hey, sis, I said, letting the word land like a blade. Got a second? Oh, actually, we're just discussing the quarterly reports. It'll be quick. I smiled at the executives. Brother-sister stuff, you know how it is. Richard waved us off good-naturedly. Go. Family comes first. Lauren, we'll finish this Monday. She followed me toward a quieter corner near the coat check, her heels clicking sharp against marble. Up close, I could see the foundation caking slightly around her jawline, the mascara smudged at one corner. She'd been crying earlier, maybe before the party, maybe in anticipation of this exact scenario she'd somehow feared but never prepared for. What are you doing here? Her voice was barely above a whisper. I wanted to surprise my wife at her Christmas party. Nathan, you can't what? Can't exist? Can't be your husband? Because apparently I'm your brother now, which is news to me. Keep your voice down. She glanced around frantically. Nobody was paying attention. The jazz trio had started a rendition of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Please, just go. I'll explain everything later. Explain now. Explain why everyone here thinks I'm your brother from Ohio. Explain why you've been commuting to Columbus when you apparently work here in Cincinnati. Explain the fucking timeline, Lauren. Her eyes welled up. Real tears this time, not the panicked kind. I was going to tell you. Tell me what? That I never worked in Columbus. That I've been here the whole time. That I... She stopped, bit her lip. That you what? That I needed space. From us. From the marriage. I just needed time to figure things out. The room tilted slightly. The jazz trio's music became distorted, underwater. You needed space, so you invented a fake brother and erased your husband from your professional life. It wasn't like that. When I started here, I just didn't mention being married. It was easier. People make assumptions about married women, about commitment, about availability for travel or promotion. I wanted to prove myself first. So where was I? In this story you told them? I said I was divorced, that it was amicable, that we were still friendly, but I'd moved here for a fresh start. Divorced. She'd killed our marriage in fiction before considering it in reality. And the brother? Richard asked if I had family nearby. I panicked. I said I had a younger brother in Cleveland, engineering student. We were close. It just came out, and then I couldn't take it back without looking like a liar. You are a liar. I know. Her voice cracked. I know, okay? It spiraled. Every time someone asked about my family, I added more details. The story got bigger, and then Derek saw us having lunch that day in August, and I introduced you as my brother without thinking, and suddenly everyone knew about you. August. The day she'd texted me photos of her working lunch while I was in Chicago. Except I hadn't been in Chicago in August. That was July. August, I'd been home. We'd fought about something stupid, her working late again, me feeling neglected. She'd left angry, said she needed space, came back that evening with takeout and apologies. She'd gone to her office, met someone for lunch, and introduced him as her brother. Who was I having lunch with? I asked. What? In August. Who did you introduce as your brother? She looked away. Does it matter? Yes. His name is Preston. Preston Caldwell. He's a client. The name landed wrong. Too careful, too prepared. And nothing. We had a business lunch. He happened to see my phone background, saw your photo, asked who you were. I said my brother. Why was my photo your phone background if you told everyone you were divorced? She didn't answer. Couldn't answer. The lie had too many holes now, the story collapsing under its own weight. Are you sleeping with him? No. Too fast. Too defensive. Are you sleeping with someone here? Nathan, answer the question, Lauren. It's complicated. That's a yes. She closed her eyes. Tears tracked through her foundation. leaving pale lines. His name is Adrian Steele. He's a senior analyst. We've been seeing each other for 8 months. 8 months. While I'd been home, cooking dinners she was too busy to eat, maintaining a house she barely lived in, supporting a marriage I thought we were both committed to. Does he know about me? He knows I was married, that it didn't work out. I'm not past tense, Lauren. I'm your husband. Right now, today, tomorrow, until you actually file papers and make this real. I was going to tell you after the holidays. How considerate. The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. Let me get through Christmas first, then destroy my world. Very thoughtful. That's not fair. You're right. Fair would have been telling me 8 months ago that you'd met someone. Fair would have been having an actual conversation about our marriage instead of inventing a fictional brother and a fake divorce. Fair would have been literally anything except what you did. Richard Vance's voice boomed across the room. Attention, everyone. Time for the award ceremony. Grab your drinks and gather round. Lauren wiped her eyes quickly, trying to salvage her makeup. We'll talk later. At home. Just please don't make a scene. At home? Which home? The one in Cincinnati that you apparently never mentioned to anyone here? The one where your husband lives? The husband who doesn't exist in this version of your life? Nathan? No, you're right. We'll talk later. I'm curious to see how you plan to explain this. Go ahead. Enjoy your awards ceremony. I'll be the supportive little brother from Ohio. I walked away before she could respond. Found a spot near the back, behind a cluster of chattering analysts. The jazz trio transitioned into something instrumental and forgettable. Richard Vance took the microphone, thanking everyone for their hard work, their dedication, their commitment to excellence. The usual corporate platitudes delivered with practiced sincerity. First award went to someone in IT for innovative systems implementation. Polite applause. Second award for best client relations. More applause. Third award, Employee of the Year, went to Lauren. The room erupted in cheers. Lauren walked to the front, accepting a crystal trophy from Richard Vance, shaking his hand, smiling that smile I'd fallen in love with 8 years ago, the smile that made her eyes crinkle at the corners, genuine and warm and utterly false. Lauren's been an incredible addition to our team, Richard said, arm around her shoulders like a proud father. Her dedication, her insight, her ability to build client relationships, she's exactly the kind of talent that makes Apex Financial great. Let's hear it for Lauren. The room applauded again. Lauren's eyes found mine across the crowd. I raised my champagne glass in mock salute to the Employee of the Year, to the devoted sister, to the woman who'd built a beautiful lie and lived in it so completely that reality became negotiable. She gave her acceptance speech, thanked her team, her mentors, her colleagues who'd supported her, talked about finding her place at Apex, about building meaningful relationships, about growth and opportunity. Never mentioned a husband, never mentioned a home in Northside or a marriage that predated her employment here. Just gratitude, humility, and the kind of polished performance that wins awards. When she finished, the room applauded again. She returned to her spot near the front, trophy in hand, surrounded by congratulations. I slipped out during the commotion, found the coat check, retrieved my jacket. The attendant, a young guy in his 20s, smiled as he handed it over. Heading out early? Family emergency, I said. My sister needs me. Outside, the December wind cut through downtown Cincinnati like a knife. Christmas lights strung across Fountain Square twinkled in the distance. Couples walked hand in hand. Tourists took selfies with the massive tree. Normal people living normal lives built on normal truths. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, engine running, heat blasting. Pulled up Lauren's social media. Her Instagram was professional, curated. Photos of Cincinnati landmarks, coffee shops, inspirational quotes about female empowerment and career success. Nothing personal, no photos of us, no mention of a husband. Her Facebook was locked down tight, friends only. I'd never thought to look before. Why would I? I trusted her. We were married. Our life together was real, tangible, documented, except apparently it was only real inside our house, in the small private space we shared. Outside, in her professional world, I'd been edited out entirely, replaced with a fictional brother, a convenient past divorce, a narrative that served her ambition better than the truth. My phone buzzed. Lauren, can we please talk about this like adults? I typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on the simplest one. There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice 8 months ago. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I'm sorry. I drove home through empty streets decorated with holiday cheer. Our house was dark, exactly as I'd left it. I'd wrapped her Christmas presents this morning, put them under the tree we'd decorated together last weekend. A cashmere scarf she'd been eyeing, a first edition of her favorite novel, tickets to see Hamilton in February, evidence of a husband who'd paid attention, who'd cared, who'd believed in the future she was already planning to abandon. I left the presents wrapped, went to our bedroom, started packing a bag, clothes, toiletries, laptop, phone charger, the essentials of temporary displacement. I wasn't leaving forever, just creating distance, space to think without her presence clouding everything. The guest room at my friend Derek's place would work for now. Different Derek, not the IT guy from Apex. Derek Huang, my college roommate, the friend who'd been at our courthouse wedding, who'd helped us move into this house, the friend who knew our marriage was real because he'd witnessed it. Lauren came home at 11:30. I heard her car in the driveway, her key in the lock, her heels on the hardwood. She found me in the bedroom, standing over my packed duffel bag. You're leaving. Not a question. Temporarily. Nathan, please, let me explain properly. You've had 6 years to explain. You chose 8 months ago not to. I was confused. About us. About what I wanted. The marriage felt stagnant. We weren't growing together anymore. We were just existing side by side. So you invented a new life without me instead of talking to me about fixing ours. I know it was wrong. I know I hurt you, but I never meant what? To get caught? To have me show up at your Christmas party and blow your cover? Because you sure as hell meant to erase me from your professional life. You meant to sleep with Adrian, whatever his name is. You meant every choice you made for 8 months. She sat on the bed, still in her black dress, still holding her Employee of the Year trophy. I thought if I could just figure things out on my own, I could come back to us with clarity. I thought the space would help. You didn't want space, Lauren. You wanted a different life. And you built one without having the courage to end ours first. That's not fair. You keep saying that, like fairness matters now. I zipped my bag closed. I'm staying at Derek's. I'll be back this weekend to get more of my things. You should talk to a lawyer. Make it official. What does that mean? It means you already divorced me in every way that matters. Let's make it legal. Nathan, wait. Employee of the Year, I said, gesturing to her trophy. Congratulations. You earned it. All those late nights, all that dedication, building something meaningful, just not with me. I walked out of our bedroom, our house, our marriage. She didn't follow. I drove to Derek's apartment complex in Clifton, texted him from the parking lot. He answered his door in sweatpants and a Bengals t-shirt, took one look at my face, and stepped aside without questions. Set me up in his spare room, offered beer I declined, let silence do the work, words couldn't. That night, I lay awake in a twin bed that smelled like laundry detergent and stared at ceiling I didn't recognize. Tried to pinpoint when my marriage had died, when Lauren had stopped seeing me as her husband and started seeing me as an obstacle, when the woman I'd loved had decided building a fictional brother was easier than being honest with her actual partner. The weekend passed in a blur of text messages I didn't answer. Lauren's apologies evolved from desperate to angry to resigned. By Sunday evening, she'd stopped texting entirely. Monday morning, I called a family law attorney, Catherine Brennan, recommended by Derek's sister. She listened to my story with the practiced patience of someone who'd heard variations 1,000 times. So, to be clear, Catherine said, pen poised over legal pad, she's been representing herself as divorced for 2 years, built an entire false narrative including a fictional brother, and admitted to an affair spanning 8 months? Correct. And you have evidence of the marriage, documentation, marriage certificate, joint mortgage, bank accounts, 6 years of shared tax returns. This should be straightforward. Ohio's a no-fault divorce state, but adultery can impact asset division, especially given the deception involved. How do you want to proceed? I want it done quickly. Fairly, but quickly. I'm not interested in punishing her financially. I just want out. Understood. I'll draft the initial paperwork. Given the circumstances, I'd recommend filing this week. December divorces are more common than people think. Everyone wants a fresh start for the new year. I signed the retainer agreement, paid the deposit, walked out of her office into cold December sunlight, feeling simultaneously lighter and heavier. The machinery of legal separation had been set in motion. What had taken 6 years to build would be dismantled in months. That evening, I went back to the house while Lauren was at work, packed more clothes, books, personal items, found our wedding photo on the dresser, the two of us smiling at the courthouse, young and hopeful and ignorant of our future. I left it face down. In her study, I found her work laptop open, email visible. Not snooping, just visible. Subject line from Adrian Steele, dinner Thursday? I closed the laptop without reading further. Some details didn't matter anymore. By the end of the week, Lauren had been served divorce papers. She called immediately, voice shaking. You actually filed. You already divorced me, Lauren. I'm just making it official. We could try counseling. We could work on this. You're sleeping with someone else. You've been lying to everyone for 2 years. What exactly would we work on? How to build trust after you've systematically destroyed it. I made mistakes. You made choices. Deliberate, calculated choices. Every time you introduced me as your brother, every time you told Adrian you were divorced, every time you came home and pretended we had a real marriage. Those weren't mistakes. That was who you chose to be. Silence stretched between us. Finally, she spoke, voice small. I loved you. I still do. You loved the idea of having a stable home to return to while you built your real life somewhere else. That's not the same thing. That's not true. Isn't it? When was the last time you chose me over work? Over networking? Over the image you were building at Apex? She couldn't answer. Or wouldn't. Same difference. The lawyer says this can be done in 90 days if we cooperate, I said. I'm not interested in fighting. Take the house if you want it. I just want this over. Nathan, I have to go. Sign the papers, Lauren. Let's both move on. I hung up before she could respond. Spent Christmas at Derek's, eating Chinese takeout and watching Die Hard. New Year's came and went in the same anonymous fashion. Lauren texted once on New Year's Eve. "I miss you." I didn't respond. In January, Catherine called with updates. Lauren had hired her own attorney. They were negotiating asset division. She wanted the house, was willing to buy out my equity. I agreed. Wanted nothing that reminded me of the life we'd built on foundations of sand. February brought warmer weather and settlement conferences. Lauren and I sat across a conference table, lawyers between us like referees, dividing 6 years into line items and signatures. She looked thinner, tired. Her hair was shorter, professional. She'd stopped wearing her wedding ring. I'd removed mine in December, stored it in a drawer at Derek's apartment. We spoke only through attorneys. Clean, clinical, efficient. By March, the divorce was finalized. Judge signed the decree, declared our marriage dissolved, wished us both well with the automatic compassion of someone who'd seen thousands of couples unmake their vows. Lauren kept the house, bought out my half. I kept my retirement accounts, my car, my personal belongings. We split savings down the middle. Fair, equitable, bloodless. I moved into my own apartment in April. 1 bedroom in Mount Adams, exposed brick view of the river. Started dating again in May. Nothing serious, just testing whether I could still trust someone, still believe in the possibility of honest connection. Slowly, cautiously, the answer became yes. I never went back to Apex Financial. Never saw Lauren's co-workers again. Never learned what story she told them about her brother from Ohio who disappeared. Whether she admitted the truth or built another lie. I didn't care anymore. In June, I ran into Diane Roth at a coffee shop downtown. She recognized me immediately, face lighting up. "Lauren's brother. How are you? Haven't seen you around. How's Cleveland?" I could have told her the truth. Could have explained that I'd never been Lauren's brother, never lived in Cleveland, was actually her ex-husband. Could have dismantled the lie completely. Instead, I smiled. "Cleveland's good. Really good, actually. Thanks for asking. Tell your sister I said hello. She's doing amazing things at Apex." "I will." I wouldn't. We'd divided everything else in the divorce. She could keep her fictional brother, too. I walked out of that coffee shop into warm June sunlight. Behind me, Diane returned to her latte, her newspaper, her belief in a story that had never been true, and I realized I didn't need her to know the truth, didn't need anyone to validate what I'd experienced, to confirm that my marriage had been real even if Lauren had spent 2 years pretending otherwise. The truth existed independent of who believed it. 2 years after the Christmas party, I married someone else. Small ceremony, close friends, people who knew my whole history. My new wife, Rebecca, made a joke during her vows about how she'd already met all my co-workers, just to be sure. Everyone laughed. I caught Derek's eye across the room. He raised his beer in silent salute. Sometimes I think about that Christmas party, about standing in that corporate lobby, listening to Richard Vance introduce me as someone I'd never been, about Lauren's face, trapped between the life she'd built and the truth she'd buried, about Employee of the Year trophy collecting dust somewhere. Mostly, I don't think about it. The past is a story we tell ourselves to make sense of the present. Lauren told hers one way. I'm telling mine another. Truth lives somewhere in between, in the 6 years we shared before she decided to edit me out.